Okay, everyone, welcome back to our first webinar Wednesday. If you've already heard this part, thank you for your patience with me briefly getting through this. We are excited to be rolling out this new program. It's designed for board members and CAMs. I'm Diane Michael with Beyond the Boardroom, and I'm so happy to be here with you this morning. And thank you again for being with us. My partner, who is a CAM, and I decided to create this program as we understand the needs and the requirements for board members and CAMs to gain education on a variety of topics in an easy and engaging manner. I own a marketing company and have created several dozen educational events. Some feedback there. We've done several dozen educational events for board members and CAMs and decided that after the state of Florida created new requirements for board members in education, that there was a need for regular presentations in a format that is easy to digest and to share with others. Being that my partner, Lindsay Lombardi, is a CAM and runs her own management company, she and I have tailored the approach to the topics and times for you each month for these presentations. And we will begin on the fourth Wednesday of each month as we gain association allies, which we call our vendors. It's a coin. We coined it association allies because they are the allies for you. They are your toolbox, as Lindsay likes to say. And as we gain more of them, we will expand into more than one Wednesday. So please help us spread the word, tell your other board members and CAMs. And again, thank you so much for being here with us. I just want to go over what the Department of Business and Professional Regulation rolled out for 2024. The DBPR has said that HOA board members, directors elected or appointed after July 1st, 2024, must take an education course administered by the Florida Division of Business and Professional Regulation or a division-approved course, which will remain valid for 4 years before the director shall take another board certification course. Directors in HOAs with less than 2,500 parcels must complete at least 4 continuing education hours annually. Directors in HOAs with 2,500 parcels or more must complete 8 hours of continuing education annually. For condominium associations, directors elected or appointed after July 1st, 2024 must take an education course administered by the DBPR or a division-approved course, which must be at least 4 hours long and include instruction on milestone inspections, structural integrity reserve studies, elections, record keeping, financial literacy and transparency, levying of fines, and notice and meeting requirements. Existing board members will have until June 30th, 2025 to comply with these requirements. And that's sourced from the DBPR. We are thrilled to announce that we will be providing CE courses on webinar Wednesdays very soon. So keep reading those emails and please share with others. I will put the remainder of the agenda into the chat. Each of the association allies today will be presenting for about 25 to 30 minutes with a brief break in between. And after this, we will have lunch. So our next presenter will be Terrascape at 1 o'clock. And I would love to introduce our next presenter. It's my honor to introduce Sean Lane with ProServe Pools. After receiving his bachelor's, Sean worked in corporate America for some time. He had worked for Tom with ProServe when he was in high school and decided to get back into the industry, bringing with him the tools and business essentials he learned along the way. His experience in corporations brought best practices to ProServe, and today it's a thriving, local, community-minded, family-run business for nearly 40 years. I've been able to work with Sean and Wendy and the team over there for a while now, and we just think the best of them. So welcome, Sean, and thank you for being here today. And I just asked to unmute you, so you just have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi, Diane. Can you hear me okay? Do a sound check? Awesome. Okay, great. We'll make it happen. Make it happen. Well, listen, we've got a lot to cover today regarding commercial swimming pools, and from our perspective, we've seen that the CAM's job has always been difficult. However, I would say definitely the last 2 years have become more complex, more stressful, and we have I personally have an opportunity to work with probably 3 or 4 CAMs a day, and I listen to their stories, and that's where we came up with the motto or the slogan or the theme. Theme's probably a better word of we need to protect the CAM. And so today I'm going to walk through some items that we've learned and experienced on the commercial pool side that we'd like to share with you, and we hope we make your job easier. Pool manufacturers have made advances to save money on the operations. The Department of Energy has definitely passed laws that is forcing change, which we believe are for the better. But let me just take a moment first and introduce myself and who we are. And Diane, thank you for that. So I'm Sean Lane, the contractor at ProServe Pools, the owner. My wife and I own the company and run it. My mom works here. My daughters work here. My son has in the past also. And our goal is to be one phone call for everything on your commercial pool, anything from the pool deck itself to anything dealing with the pool and heaters, health inspections. So yesterday we helped a commercial pool get reopened that was closed. And that's what we love doing. And we've been working with CAM since the 80s. So thanks. And I hope you get a lot out of today. All right, let's now move into what's happened. Well, we all know the story. It's almost too cliche to say that all costs have risen. We know that. And the CAMs like you that are stressed by the board to meet budgets and stay within those constraints, we have to be extremely creative in today's environment to squeeze out every area that we can. So I'm going to give you some tips today that are going to allow you to provide a better service and at the same time save some money. And I'll give you some use cases that we've already experienced. This shows us that we can be better providers, but we can't continue to do it the way we've always done it. We've got to change. If we don't, then the costs are going to eat us up and we're going to get no reward from it. So let me give a cost breakdown. If you look at a commercial pool, which is the most constantly, I hear it, the most used amenity on all of our properties, even the golf courses that sometimes will say this. The cost is energy. So with the new regulations and the new manufacturing, that hidden cost is paid by the property. It's sometimes hidden into a much larger number. However, from a due diligence perspective, even though it's hidden, you don't have a single line item for the pool. If you can save money on that's an absolute opportunity that should be taken advantage of ethically. So that's one area. A second area would be water consumption. So if you've got a pool that leaks, do not kick the can. Even though water is relatively cheap, the impact on the chemical usage and other items that you would never think of, such as the heater. So let's take a $5,000 to $6,000 heater. If you've got a leak, it's impossible for that heater not to eventually be destroyed and for that heat exchanger to blow right back onto that finish of that pool. Your stainless steel handrails and ladders, the same thing. So do not kick a can on water. Even if you believe, hey, no big deal, that cost is bundled in somewhere else. That's still another stacking to the cost. So make sure and take care of that. The third reason, outside of the heater and the cost of the water and the cost of the chemical, when you get in June, July, and August, if a pool leaks, it becomes impossible for your maintenance staff or a pool service provider to maintain that pool. You can say, hey, we're just going to throw more chemicals at it. That is not the answer. It just, at some point, you can't keep up with it. So make sure and take care of that. Labor, what's happened, with chemical costs, some of our chemicals have doubled in price, doubled in the last 2 years. So any of your providers that are coming back to you, any bills you're getting from, if you do your own service, your suppliers, you've seen that bill go up. Labor has done the same. Think about the amount that it costs, whether you're paying someone to take care of your pool or you've got your own staff on site. You know that that cost has gone up. And so make sure that you're putting in place standard operating procedures so that if you have turnover, which most properties do, it's awesome when I go to a property and the maintenance guy's been there for 20 years. It's almost unheard of. Less than probably 5% of the properties I go to. But either way, you still have a habit contingency plan. So those are energy, so that your electric bill, as an example, or gas for a gas heater, water, chemicals, and labor. That's how you break down what your expenses are on, not counting, renovations, just general ongoing operations cost. So where can you save? What I would consult you to do is go back to your pool contractor and ask them to do some analysis on those key areas that I just talked to you about and where you can be creative. I wouldn't even call it creative. I would call it due diligence. Every property that I ever visit, it's not complicated. It doesn't take a long time, but every property I go to, there's a chance to save in those areas that I just mentioned a moment ago. So go back to your pool contractor and ask them to come out and visit with you and tell you, do an analysis for you and tell you where you can save on that. Let me move to the first area that we have seen tremendous savings, typically about $300 to $400 a month on a single pump. And if you've got a property that's got multiple pumps, you can see that for every pump you've got on your property. But there's some ways you have to tune this. So let me start with this. The government came out years ago with energy efficient pumps, and we all kind of thought that was manufacturers just selling us a bill of goods and trying to push some new technology down our throat, and we really didn't believe in it. And then we implemented it and we ran metrics on it. And we saw what the amperage and the electrical savings were. And it was, at first it was unbelievable. The first one we did, we're like, nah, this can't be right. But we consistently see the same savings over and over again at different properties. So make sure that when you're replacing your main pump goes down on your pool, and you go out to your pool suppliers and you ask them for a price to replace that, or you have your maintenance team do whatever they do your due diligence on that. Don't replace it with an energy hog single speed motor. What we've seen since COVID is that cheaper option is not cheaper. It may be cheaper the day you issue the purchase order, you pay for that motor and you have your maintenance staff install it, or you have your pool contractor install it. But that's the only time it's going to be cheaper. These motors that we are seeing today just aren't the same quality. If we get a year out of them, a year and a half, that's about what we get. And when you take ethically, when you really need to ask ourselves, is it ethical to install a motor that's not the same quality that they were before COVID? Is that ethical? And is it ethical to put that motor on an old pump that could be pushing metal back into a pool under your finish? I'm just not sure if that's ethical. So I would ask yourself, if you're getting, you get a price on replacing a motor versus installing an energy efficient pump, and one is 3 times as much, I'd ask myself, why is the other one so much cheaper? I would do the due diligence on it. And then find out, hey, am I going to save any money on electricity? No. Do these motors last the way they used to? No. Are there chances there's other failures that are going to occur when you put a new part on an old part? Yes. So really dig into that and make sure you understand it. Another area for savings, LED lighting. So take a look at this picture. In this picture, on the left-hand side, you'll see a nice bright, under the water. Under the water, you'll see a nice bright LED white light. That's what LED is. Look to the right, though. We purposely took this picture a few years back on a job we did, and we left the incandescent in to show the property the difference. So on the right there is an incandescent. And the Department of Energy says that a LED light reduces the energy consumption, which means cost, by 75%. So the light on the left is going to cost to operate 75% less than the light on the right. Well, I work with a lot of properties where they say, well, we're not really rated for nighttime swimming. We lock the gate anyway. We don't want people in the pool. From a conscientious Morgan and Morgan perspective, I would say replace those lights. I'd say have them on, do everything you can in this legalistic world that we live in. Even though you're not rated and you've got a sign up that says close and you got the gate closed and you got barbed wire and you got guards, I'm being funny. Lights are cheap, lawsuits are expensive. Put the lights in. Plus, I don't think anyone on the board would ever want that feeling that, hey, listen, we didn't do something we should have. So make sure the lights work. That's really important. And the good news is if you put LEDs in, they're not going to cost you any more than what you're spending today if you still got those old incandescents. All right, let me move on to heating pools. Even in this economic environment we're in, where all expenses are up between insurance and everything else, I was amazed this past season how many heater requests that we got and heater installs that we did. So there's still a big demand to heat pools and keep those pools open in what we call the off season, the winter season. And there's really primarily two ways to do that in this market. There's a third that I won't bring up in this call, but there is a third. The two that we'll talk about now is either gas or electric. And there's pros and cons to both. And we have our master gas license here at our company. And so we install both gas and electric. We like both. But let me give you a couple of the costs and environmental impacts and benefits to both. Let's start with gas. On the gas side, a gas heater, kind of like the old FedEx thing. If it's absolutely positively got to make it happen, gas in the coldest of cold here in Florida will keep the water 84 to 86 degrees, even on the beach, unless it's under high wind conditions and the heater turns itself off. But outside of that, it will keep that. So if you've got a service level agreement that you put out on your bookings for your gas that it is heated and it will be heated at a certain temperature, you have to use gas. Then the other positive to gas is that they are cheaper, the appliance is, than an electric. The negatives are the operating expense is 4 times as much. There's calculators that you can do. AquaCal has a great calculator that you can go right online and you can put in the information. It's going to tell you the operating expense difference between gas and electric, and you would be amazed. So gas is really expensive, even natural gas. Propane, forget it. That's way too expensive. The other negative is we've seen that the internal parts, it's called a heat exchanger, the quality since COVID just is not there. You've got it. They always want to blame the water chemistry, and they're right. If you see that copper going back into the pool, that means because the water chemistry is wrong. But even outside of water chemistry, we've seen some challenges. So that's one of the pieces. And the warranties are much less. Typically, they're between a 1 and 3 year warranty. Let me move to electric. The negatives are that they typically run about $1,000 to $1,500 more on the initial appliance install. The positives are that they're and they do have a sound to them. So a gas heater has no sound, very little. It'd be impossible to almost hear it. Electric heater, it's like your air conditioner running. You're going to hear that fan if it's close to the pool deck. The positives are that the warranty is longer, and that the heat exchangers we're seeing they're not as temperamental as the ones on gas heaters. The negatives, do not expect, unless you're oversized, which is expensive, we wouldn't recommend that, to keep up an 84 to 86 degree on the coldest of days. So I would say that in most cases for a pool, electric heater is the way to go, unless you've got that absolute positive requirement. And then I would say for gas heaters, definitely that's what you want for a spa. And so you'll have energy savings if you go with a gas heater. Let me move to filtration. With filtration, I work with a lot of properties where they try to kick the can and get as long as they can out of their filters. Stop doing that. It's costing you money. So let me say it one more time. Don't kick the can on replacing the filter. Put a practice in place, put it in your budget. At a minimum, replace the filters. Don't even think about it. Replace them once a year. Maintenance guys, I see them loving on them, acid washing them, degreasing them, on and on and on and on. All you're doing is putting a pump under duress, which is now causing the pump, which pumps are expensive, to pull more amperage, so it's more electricity, and duress themselves and wear out faster. Replace the filter. It'll end up saving you money. So please make sure you're doing that. And then you're also getting more turns on your water, and it's helping the water to be much clearer. And you're spending less labor. Have your maintenance guy go do something else. I'm sure you got plenty for him to do. And then it's also costing you on chemicals too when you're having to backwash. So don't forget that. There's a lot of hidden costs to all of this. So when you get an estimate from your pool service provider, and if your maintenance guys haven't had you buy them new filters, make sure they do that. It'll save you money. You won't think so, but it will. Let me move to automation. So automation are tools to make sure that your pool is kept safe. So for decades, if you can believe this, pool techs, including your maintenance staff, they've had to guess, and I mean guess, on what feeder reading to turn their chemicals on, because they'll go from a very calm day of maybe 10 swimmers to a Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day weekend of 4 times as much. So they're guessing, and they do the best they can. So the technology that's available today will automatically read the water chemistry and automatically turn feeders on to make sure that pool is safe for your swimmers. Secondly, if you've ever had a case where you got a guess that says, hey, my bathing suit was bleached out because of that, of the chlorine level. Well, it's tracking all of that so that you can prove, well, no, that's not really what happened. It was probably your laundry detergent that did that. And they go back to Morgan and Morgan. It's great to say, listen, we've got proof here because it tracks all of that data, and it will alert you if there's a problem. So make sure that it'll give you real time. It'll make real time adjustments, and it'll keep all your swimmers safe. For years, there's been a debate whether or not is there payback to move to saltwater, with the cost of chlorine alone doubling. And I do mean doubling. It's actually more than doubled over the last 2 years. The answer is yes. The saltwater systems have not increased in that cost. So if you want some savings, go have a saltwater system installed at your property. And it will cut down on your labor. So now your maintenance team can spend more time on other tasks and activities. The second item is enzymes. When they first come out, we thought it was hocus pocus, but we've done so much research on them that it really cuts down. It cleans the tile when no one else is there. It really honestly does. And it also reduces the amount of times that you got to backwash, which then leads to more chemical costs. So make sure that's where you have to be creative in looking at what technologies are available that weren't used in the past. A third item, if you've got a water feature, is a CO2 system that really helps with cutting the cost of operating your pool. So one of the last pieces I'll talk about right now is scheduled inspections. You want to, the Florida Department of Health, when they come out, they come out 2 days out of the year. So that leaves you the rest of the year to 360 plus days where no one's looking. The health department doesn't care about certain things. And I got to tell you, your health department today, they've done a great job of training their people. They're on top of it. They're a great partner in this business. And I'm thankful to work with every single one of them over there. They do a great job, but their mantra is not a couple of things. Number one, the chemicals that they are required to check, they don't even check for one piece of chemical that can cut your chlorine usage by 7. So for instance, if this one chemical is in the pool, you'll use 1 gallon versus another pool that does not have this chemical will use 7 gallons. And that is the ratio in all the testing we've done. Number 2, they don't care about a high electric bill. So they're not testing to make sure that your hydraulics are right. They just want to make sure you get the right flow, but they don't care how you get there. Number 3, they're not testing for algae food that's in the water. So you need to make sure and check for that, or that's going to drive your cost of operation up. And they definitely don't check for the chemical that's required to protect that $6,000 heater from pushing all that copper back onto your new finish. So make sure you spend time investigating all those pieces, because the health department, that's not really their job. Their job's not to save you money and protect the equipment. Their job is to protect the swimmer, just to make sure you got chlorine in the water. So I'll give you one use case. We did a install for a new apartment complex, brand new pump. In fact, we installed the new pump for them. And they had a resident there that was complaining about the sound. So we switched them to an energy saving pump that we could turn down the decibel levels went down by about 25%. And they ended up saving, I think on that job, it was $350 a month on their electric bill. So you got a quiet pump that lasts longer. Just imagine you drove your car at 100%, 100 miles an hour, like the Bandit. That car's not going to last. So with a variable speed, it definitely does. So with that, Diane, I can't hear on my side, but if there's a question, I'm happy to answer it through, I guess, text, or I can follow up with whoever's got questions.
Okay, so sorry that you can't hear Sean, but I will throw it in to text. I'm also going to throw in the agenda for the remainder of the day to everyone, but to host and panel, Sean, there you go. The question, oh, let's see if he can hear the question or read the question rather. Yeah, it looks like he got it.
Yes, geothermal is incredible, incredible way.
So let me just say the question real quick. The question was, could you comment on any insight or experience with geothermal pool heating and solar heated? Are either a cost efficient option or combination of electric and solar? Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Yes, geothermal is an incredible way to heat a pool, and I'm happy if anybody on the call wants to go see a property that's doing that today. The positives and negatives. Let's see. The negative: extremely high capital expense up front, permitting, those kind of things. But the overall plumbing and the appliances they're costly. The positive: once you pay for it, it's God's earth that's heating your pool. So you just got to look at, what the payback period, and if the board's got the, upfront cash or financing to make that happen. And again, I'm happy to take them to some properties that have been very happy with that, with geothermal.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Any other questions that want to be sent in? Any other questions? Okay, I am going to put Sean's information into the chat so that you can learn more about their team, and you can contact them directly with the email by cutting and pasting in the chat. So by all means, go there and contact Sean and his amazing family team over at ProServe Pools. Sean, thank you so much. I'm sad that you can't hear me. Maybe you're reading lips, but we'll definitely have the video for you after. Participants, attendees, thank you for being here again. We are taking a break until 1 p.m. So please log back on at 1 p.m. or you can just stay logged on and just come back to your computer. We're going to put ourselves on mute and enjoy some lunch. And thank you all for being here, and we'll see you at 1 p.m.
See you all
Thanks,
after lunch.
Sean. Thanks, Sean. Bye.
Adios.
Bye.